Hi, I'm Jennifer Brody. Thank you for inviting me to speak here about my experience today, and excuse my use of notes. I'm not accustomed to public speaking. I am a wife, I'm a mother of 3 beautiful children, and I'm a physician. I grew up here in the San Antonio area, but believe it or not, I did not grow up wanting to be a doctor. I did gravitate toward the sciences and eventually got a degree in laboratory science. So for several years, I worked in the microbiology lab, and among stacks and stacks of Petri dishes, I finally decided I wanted more education and more experience in patient care. When all was said and done, I went into medicine, and I specialized in pulmonary and critical care medicine. During my training, I was taught to expect the next big pandemic. I watched with apprehension as viruses such as MERS, SARS, and Ebola each tried to take a global foothold. I also cared for patients during the H1N1 influenza pandemic, and many of those developed respiratory failure. In the intensive care unit, things can get pretty rough, but nothing could have prepared me for COVID-19. Suddenly, my community hospital grew their ICU beds and shut down entire wards to take care of victims of coronavirus. Instead of 1 intensive care unit, we made 4. The rooms were draped with plastic, and we covered ourselves from head to toe to enter. The IV pumps were carefully stretched to the outside of the rooms, where they are easier to access, and pumping vital medications to the patients dozens of feet away. Nurses came from all over the country to help us, and families were kept out. The risk is too great. One hallmark of COVID-19 is shortness of breath, and sadly for some, it became overwhelming. And when all other efforts failed, we must intubate and allow a ventilator to breathe for them. And to minimize risk, my team and I, a nurse and a respiratory therapist, we would don our respirators and enter the room. We appear more like space voyagers than caring healers, and we have to armor up for these procedures. We do our best to provide reassurance and emotional support, what can only be a hollow substitute for the family absent from their bedside. And the team I work with are amazing. They keep the link open between home and hospital using any means, FaceTime or Zoom. But we saw how COVID stole cherished people from their loved ones. Sometimes our efforts are to no avail, and the best we can do is provide comfort and dignity in those final moments. And with many tears, video conferencing is how the family could say goodbye. Those who survive still face great challenges in their recovery, but every time we were able to remove a ventilator, it really lifted our spirits and provides a glimmer of hope. Being a bystander to tragedy leaves its scars, but scars toughen and become areas of great strength. I learned I can lean on my training, put one foot in front of the other, and provide excellent medical care in the most harrowing of circumstances because of a proper education. But what carries me through is the support of my community. So many people reached out, called, texted, and provided meals, especially this amazing group of women that I went to Israel with just last year, my sisters. And last but the best, my family, their love and support, their absolute resilience in a wild situation is incredible. While this pandemic is far from over, it can be easy to feel hopeless. That would be a normal feeling. But I remain immensely grateful. I cherish the connections and the community we have in this finite space, and I appreciate the blessings of this life. Thank you.